Hokey Pocus presents Magic at Home. My name is Dr. Mitch Magic, and I'm going to show you some amazing magic tricks. Afterward, I'm going to let you in on the secret, and I'm going to show you how to do those tricks at home with some simple items you have around the house. Are you ready to go? Let's get on with the show! This trick is called Magic Mental Coins. I have an envelope, and inside of this envelope, I have some coins. I have a quarter, a nickel, and a penny. A quarter, a nickel, and a penny. I'm going to have you pick a coin. Point to whichever one you want. The quarter, the nickel, the penny, or the nickel. Just point in front of it. Do you want the quarter? Point. Or the penny, or the nickel. Just point to whichever one you want. You pointed at the quarter. Okay, so you didn't want the penny, and you didn't want the nickel. You wanted the quarter. Now that's pretty amazing, because I said this was magic mental coins. Inside of this envelope, there was one other coin the entire time, and that coin was a quarter. I knew you'd pick the quarter. For this trick, you're going to need the following. You're going to need 2 quarters, a penny, a nickel, an envelope, and I like the envelopes that have this security pattern inside, but it doesn't have to be, and a magic marker. So, there are a number of ways to do this trick. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the quarter, and we're going to put one of the quarters into the envelope way up here in the corner. So the quarter is right here in the envelope. I can feel it with my finger. I'm holding it so the quarter doesn't fall down to the bottom. So I'm holding that quarter right here in my finger. There's the quarter. I'm going to take this quarter and slide it in down here. The nickel gets slid in down there, and the penny gets slid in down there. And then I close the envelope. So I have the penny, the nickel, and the quarter down here. I have another quarter up here. I pick up the envelope and I hold on to that quarter over here, and I give the envelope a little shake. I have 3 coins in this envelope. Now I open the envelope and I just let the coins slide out just like that. And then remember, I'm holding this quarter, and I close the envelope and I put it over there. Now, you say I have a penny, a nickel, and a quarter, penny, nickel, and a quarter. I want you to pick one. Well, let's pretend they picked the quarter like they did in my example. You just slide the penny and the nickel to the side. You say, okay, you picked the quarter. You open the envelope, and I'm going to tilt the envelope up and let this quarter slide down to about there and then slide out. There it goes. I knew you'd pick a quarter. As a matter of fact, that was the coin that I had in the envelope all along. I knew you'd pick the quarter. We matched. Okay, so now I know what you're wondering. Well, what if they don't pick the quarter? What if they pick the nickel, or if they pick the penny? Well, we're going to set up the entire trick again. We're going to put the quarter up here. We're going to put the other quarter down here. We're going to put the penny down here, and the nickel. Well, what we're going to do before we put the nickel in the envelope, I'm going to use my magic marker and make an X on the back of the nickel, or on the front of the nickel. Now, if I just leave the nickel like this, you don't know that it has an X on it. And I'm going to slide that nickel into the envelope so the X is face down. Now remember, there's a quarter over here, a penny, a nickel, and a quarter down here. The nickel has an X on it, and the nickel is face down. I have an envelope. The envelope has some coins. You could shake it. Now this is why we slide the coins out. We don't want that nickel to flip over and reveal the X. And I have 3 coins here. I have a quarter, a nickel, and a penny. Pick one. Well, let's pretend they picked the nickel this time. You don't say pick, by the way. You say point. Point to one, because you don't want them to pick it up. Point to one. Point to the quarter, the nickel, or the penny, and they point to the nickel. Let's say they point to the nickel that time. Okay, you didn't want the quarter and you didn't want the penny. You could have picked the quarter, and all I do is I pick up the quarter and I show them both sides of the quarter. You could have picked the penny. I show them both sides of the penny. I knew you'd pick the nickel, and I knew that way in advance because the nickel was the only coin that I drew an X on. Not these, just the nickel. I knew you'd pick the nickel. Now, they don't know about this quarter in here, and you don't ever have to tell them. All they know is that you were able to know in advance that it was the nickel because I was the one you drew an X in. They don't know about this. You can never do this trick for the same person twice because then they're expecting another coin to come out of the envelope, or they're expecting a different coin to have an X on it. So really, you can only do this trick once per person. Oh, but wait a second. I know what you're asking. What if they pick the penny? Well, let's go back and do it again. So this time, I have the nickel with the X down, the quarter, and the penny into the bottom of the envelope over here. My extra quarter is up here. Let's pretend they picked the penny this time. I have an envelope, and in this envelope I have some coins. Let's see what coins we got. We have a penny, a quarter, and a nickel. I'd like you to point to one, so let's pretend this time they point to the penny. Well, okay, you didn't want the quarter, and you didn't want the nickel. I'm going to move those aside. You wanted the penny. I knew you'd want the penny. I knew that way in advance. And how did I know that? Because I actually wrote it on the envelope. I knew you would choose the penny. So if you go back and you look at this video, at no point ever did I show you the front of the envelope. That was written on there all the time. If they picked the quarter, I dumped the quarter out of the envelope. If they picked the nickel, I just turned the nickel over and showed that the other two coins had nothing on them. And if they picked the penny, then I turn over the envelope and I say, I knew you would choose the penny. This is a wonderful trick to do. It's very easy to make. All it takes is 56 cents, an envelope, and a marker. And the important thing about this trick is they don't know what to expect. So if you dump out the quarter, that's the magic. If you turn one over and it has an X on it, that's the magic. Or if you turn over the envelope and it says, I knew you would choose the penny, that's the magic. Again, you can only do this trick once per person, but when you do, it's a real magical one. Thank you, everybody, for joining me. Before I leave, I'd like to remind you about the 3 rules of magic. Rule number 1, shh, don't tell anybody the secret. Rule number 2, never do the same trick twice. They'll figure it out. Rule number 3, practice, practice, practice. Thank you for joining me. Have fun with your new magic.